Very, very good evening. I think all of us had a wonderful 2 days of interaction here. And I'm diverging a bit, but I think you need to clap for yourself for being attentive as a very good audience. So congratulations to all of you. And thank you for being here. I'm Samir Unhale. I work as the State Joint Commissioner for the Municipal Administration Department with the Government of Maharashtra. Maharashtra has 6.5 crore population staying in urban areas, and we have got around 421 municipalities, and the role essentially is to seek digital transformation and better governance using e-governance and AI. Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Lieutenant Colonel Rajesh. I am Director Biometrics at UIDAI Technology Center, Bangalore.
Good evening. I am Pranob Mohanty. I am the Director General of Police for Cybercrimes and for Police Computerization. And I generally work across the fields of cybersecurity and cybercrime, and also issues which are joined to governance across sectors. So I'll be moderating this session. Thank you for being here at the end of a long day.
Very good evening, everyone. Myself, Jayesh. I'm representing Pinnacle Teleservices, a 21-year-old company where I look after partnerships, where I look after WhatsApp business vertical, which is essentially used to, develop and deliver citizen-centric services across India with many of the government entities.
Anyways, good evening. I'm Rolee Agarwal, Chief Commissioner Income Tax. The Income Tax Department doesn't beg an introduction, so I won't, but it's really very, very nice to be with all of you here today. And I'm really looking forward to this discussion, although we are at the end of the day, but I'm sure it will be very rewarding. Thank you.
Good evening, everybody. I'm Dr. Mamatha. I was, till recently, the Inspector General of Registration and Commissioner of Stamps. I retired on June 30th. I feel that this is the right time for AI to make an entry into registration also. So I look forward to hearing from the other speakers as well as contributing to whatever is being discussed here. Thank you very much.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Omprakash. I'm here representing the National Health Authority, where I'm the technology advisor. I've also worked in the private sector, and I've also been part of the startup team of Aadhaar in the past. Look forward to this discussion.
Good evening, everyone. I am G.K. Thakre, General Manager Operations in Bangalore Metro Railway Corporation Limited. I am from Indian Railway Services, and I am working here as of now in BMRCL.
So we have a cross-section from across industry to government to public sector. So we expect a very lively discussion on this panel. So may I start with Mr. Unhale and learn from him what role might AI play in enhancing the efficiency, reliability, and ease of governance in public sectors and government alike.
So, thank you very much, sir. First of all, anything in law and government, we start with definitions. Every act, the first section is normally definition. So, I think we still are in the evolving phase as to what exactly artificial intelligence would mean for us. Of course, we know the famous Alan Turing test, the Turing test of AI, and Professor McCarthy, who introduced the concept of AI in 1956 in one of the conferences. So when we are looking at AI and maybe ease of governance and citizen engagement, what we essentially are looking at those specific functionalities or the capabilities of that technology, which can be used to make the business processes efficient, make the citizens' experience with government less painful, and probably have the delivery of welfare and development services and other government services in the most efficient manner. So that could be one of the starting points when we are considering AI and ease of governance and citizen engagement. So what are these specific functionalities which AI really delivers? I think that should be the second point as to what are those specific functionalities. One, of course, is the repeated automation. That is something that AI can do. Secondly, it can give us deep insight into very vast amount of data. So that is another functionality. Third would be probably chatbots. The generative AI that we are talking. Citizen engagements that even now, if we have to engage with even the municipal tax, that is the most easiest one. Even then, the citizens are not at ease, how to engage, how to do the tax assessment of your property tax, how to approach the concerned authority. So I believe this AI, as far as the ease of governance, vis-a-vis the city functioning, maybe smart cities, maybe not so smart cities, essentially would be in making the citizens' engagement less painful to start with. B, it will also help the government to find out the hidden areas which are normally there and more so in the municipal functioning. As we know, the number of property taxes which are registered, which are acknowledged, which are onto the property tax assessment framework is very limited. Secondly, maybe the use of drone visual analytics, LIDAR technology which is coming up will ensure the cities also to have a strong systems and strong processes aided by technology, which in this phase could be AI, to ensure that the systemic efficiency of the municipal government will be good. So these were the two or three initial points I felt that the definition is still evolving. Probably every department and every sector will have to find out what it can do for itself. And maybe the first part, I would like to quote Steve Jobs, who said that you don't get a technology and then start hunting for customers. You focus on the customer experience and then build back the technology. So this probably could also be easily doable in the context of AI. Thank you, sir.
Very grateful, Mr. Unhale. So we learned about how AI can be built ground up in municipal and urban administration. We'll return to that topic a little while later after a round of panel discussions. It's a very interesting topic. Now may I request Colonel Rajesh Singh from UIDAI to share his views with us as to how may AI help us in digital administration. He sits at the heart of one of the most sensitive digital industry, or digital heartland, we can say, of India, UIDAI Tech Center at that. So may I request Mr. Singh?
Thank you, sir. Before I answer that question, I just want to apprise you, Mr. Mohanty has been the DDG at UIDAI himself. So DDG, he was DDG with UIDAI himself, and he knows it better than anybody else. So whatever we are doing or whatever I'm going to convey right now, he already knows the answer. Even though, but for the benefit of the audience, I'll just summarize what the UIDAI is doing in terms of artificial intelligence. As we know that the journey for UIDAI started since 2020 September onwards. Since then, we have got Aadhaar card generated for over 140 crore people, and the data that got collected over the years have been there with UIDAI, and we are processing the same data to provide the services to the citizens. The basic function of Aadhaar has been to do enrollment, update, and authentication. Only these three services are there. The most used is the authentication service, where I do about 8 crore authentications per year. Per day. So that's the amount of data that UIDAI is handling on a daily basis. The major challenge that we observed over the year was the failure rate of fingerprint authentication used to be a little higher. And we were trying to figure out how to address that issue till 2021-22 when Sir was there. And that is the time that we have actually leapfrogged towards the AI in solving this issue. The challenge was that we cannot go back to the resident and tell them to again give their biometrics so that it is of good quality. To have a better authentication system. To going back to 140 crore people was not possible. So by using the AI technology in authentication, the success rate of fingerprint authentication has improved by 7 to 8%. So now, as on date, we are having about 86 to 87% of the success rate that is there with the fingerprint authentication, which used to be about 75%. So that's the live example that UIDAI has been able to use it. And in terms of volume, if you look at it, it's just a 6 to 7% that we are seeing here. But in terms of numbers you look at, from the 88 crore that we do a transaction, it's almost 6 to 7 lakh people have been actually impacted on ground, who were denied a service because they were not able to authenticate to get a ration. They were not able to authenticate to get any government benefits. So that's the one use case that we have been able to use. Second challenge that we faced was to how to use the face to provide a service which is not a device independent and make it available to the larger population. Now the mobile saturation level in India is very high. Every other person is having a mobile. So we introduced this face authentication system in 2022 December. And the main challenge there was the Aadhaar enrollment, which was done in 2010 or 11, the time the person could have been, say, 10 years or 18 years. In 2022, when we started, this was 10 years gap. We did not have the fresh faces from the people. So that was a major challenge. In the same scenario, we also used the IML model to have a high success rate on face. As on date, we are having about 3 to 4 lakh of transactions coming per day from the face authentication. So these are the two use cases where we have been effectively using and reaching out to the residents, reaching out to the people to solve for the problem without reaching out to them directly. It has impacted them, and the solution has been found within the home, not by reaching out to the people to solve for it. So that is what the AI has done, sir.
So great. We heard from Colonel Singh, who sits at the heart of innovation, I'd say, because UIDAI has been a leader in technology right since it was in its inception. The technologies used in UIDAI have been very futuristic, and they have found their way into different industries, different corporations, different government agencies. So generally, you might call it as professional hubris or pride. We used to say that what UIDAI does today, the country will do day after tomorrow. So without dwelling on that further, and we will be returning to the question of digital governance through AI, through one of its most accomplished exponents, it is Aadhaar, and who better than Colonel Singh, who used to be, I think you were director when I was there, I think, yes. So a lot of good work has been done. We'll be returning to that in a while. So let me turn to Mr. Bagde, Chief Partner Manager, Pinnacle Teleservices Private Limited, on what or where AI can be leveraged in communications.
Thank you, Mr. Mohanty. We sit at very exciting times, I think 18 months probably since we heard the word. I mean, practically day-to-day lives, we heard the word generative AI. That changed a lot. As a company, we are also part of a generation. We are also partly responsible for bringing innovation to the table. And from my standpoint, I see a lot of exciting things going around. Few things that my team, smaller team, R&D and development, they can bring on the table, which is very exciting. But also, while we work with partners, while we work with government entities, we see a lot of innovation happening, which is very exciting. And ideally, for me, also excites me that, this kind of innovation, which is towards citizen engagement, can be rightly delivered through something like WhatsApp. Why WhatsApp? Because, probably 60 crore, 65 crore Indians carry that app in the pocket, open probably 30 times a day. And now with another feature which is practically very popular nowadays, WhatsApp Business API, you see a brand talking to you, a government entity talking to you with a green tick, that is WhatsApp Business API. The difference between WhatsApp Business API and peer-to-peer is basically you can do a lot more automation, you can have a lot more features as a part of WhatsApp Business API. What these features are, you can have a conversational automation done. You can have a very structured workflow built inside of that application now, which can mimic a regular native application. You can build a conversational automation. You can have people apply, right from apply for a scheme to do eKYCs and a lot of other interesting things within their fingertips, on their fingertips, and in the language of choice. Because India is such a diverse country, I think this application brings that inclusiveness in the spectrum. When we talk about AI, I think ChatGPT, OpenAI has shown us like the power of conversations when it comes to that. But with very complex schemes, I can quote an example from one of the partners that we work very closely with. The use case is about getting legal advice, and how it is done. Users can drop voice notes on WhatsApp. If they can't type, or if it is laborious to type, they can drop a voice note in the language they want, they speak, and in return, within seconds, this bot sends them back a voice note on legal issues, legal advice that they want to seek. How beautiful is that? How inclusive is that? So I think these smaller examples, use cases that can be delivered to each citizen of India for the betterment, for more inclusivity, I think this is the power of AI harnessed really well.
So, thank you, Mr. Bagde. Very fascinating. So, now we are coming to the, one of the departments in government, one of the verticals in the government, on the governance structures, which has been very, very, very proactive in terms of yoking AI to governance structures, has been the income tax department. So I'm sure a lot of insights will be now coming from Ma'am Rolee Agarwal. I'd request her to just explain to the audience about her experiences in using AI in income tax governance. Ma'am.
Thank you, sir. So I feel that the income tax department over the last many years has constantly been striving to be a citizen-centric department and be very taxpayer-friendly. We have tried to totally change the mindset, and it was all about, of course, tax investigation, and collecting taxes has always been our prime motto. But besides that, now the intention of the department is to actually deliver, to make things very comfortable for the assessees and make it a very happy experience to pay your taxes. So for that, as we have seen, and as you said, sir, we have been constantly trying to leverage technology. A lot of changes you all must have noticed. We have pre-filled returns now, which is a novelty, and we are experimenting with a lot of things. We have you have chatbots to help the taxpayer file his. You have many routine queries which people need to know about, and round the clock the chatbots are there to answer them. Then we have, of course, started with our faceless assessments, which are no longer an experiment, it's a reality now. We have faceless appeals. So technology has been used, and we are coming up with new things every day. We have portals which are using artificial intelligence, and we have algorithms which are fed in. So there is a lot of data aggregation that is being done. We have data coming in from various sources. We have government agencies, and there are banks, and there are financial institutions, post offices, sub-registrar offices, a whole lot of agencies from which the data is being aggregated. And along with that, once the data comes in, then data analysis comes into force, and that is helping the department a lot. Besides that, there is something called automated matching. So this automated matching, when you file your income, it takes your returned income and then matches it with all the data which is available. And of late, now the assessees have they're able to see that this data is available to the department, and that is eventually a big help, because sometimes you genuinely forget You may have an ex bank account which you forgot about, or the interest you haven't shown in your return. There are many things that sometimes it's by default, sometimes it's just happened. So there are many things which come up, and once the assessee is aware that the department has this data, and it's a big help to him to correct his returns, and that eventually leads to a lot of less heartburn also, because then the department needn't act on it and needn't send you notices, because you have corrected it on your own. So that helps a lot. And then there is something called risk management, which again, algorithms are fed in, and there are a lot of parameters, and the scrutiny selection. So what happens is that the system goes through your data, and let us say a particular case, it goes into the history, and you can see how the assessee has been filing his returns, how the income has been shown over the past few years. There are a few who, there are defaulters, or they have a tendency to default, so it picks it up, and those cases are taken up for intensive scrutiny. And that helps, because then you don't scrutinize honest taxpayers who are actually filing their returns very honestly, and it only picks up cases which need to be examined. And all this also gives us, the manpower, a lot of time to focus on more complex things. So I feel that we are on this every day. We are trying to devise new strategies. And believe me, it is a struggle sometimes, because when you're in the middle of it and there are teething problems, it's a huge department and a huger number of taxpayers and tax filers. So we do face problems, but we enjoy solving them, and these challenges are actually inspiring us every day to come up with new solutions, to make new suggestions to the board. And the board is, believe me, very proactive. Their policy making, everything, they are taking a lot of these factors into consideration. So I am so happy that this is a time when the department is at the hem of this change of scenario, and we are actually trying our best to deliver.
Fascinating. In fact, I was lucky enough to be associated with some of the experiments in AI and the algorithmic thinking that it went into modernizing income tax when I was in UIDAI or Aadhaar. We happened to be sharing the same boss at that point of time, Dr. Ajay Bhushan Pandey, who was the Secretary of Revenue as well as CEO of Aadhaar at the same point of time. So we also did, we could get an inside look, an inside window into what was happening in income tax. And that was a very fertile period, I'd say, in governance. The GST structure was evolved. The networking itself was based around a very, very different database structure, which we hadn't seen, which revolved around graph algorithms, and that also rubbed off on income tax quite a lot. So you have seen the result. The way income tax has modernized itself and has presented itself to the lay public as a very sophisticated mechanism for evaluating taxes, presenting the faceless income tax, the interfaces that we have, the self-populating of the income tax forms. 80% of that is filled before we do anything. The complex interlinking of the financial statements, the lessening and the mitigation of fraud, and elimination of duplicates has been one of the outstanding achievements of income tax in the last few years. So yes, as ma'am has said, the income tax already has achieved quite a lot using AI in administration and governance, and perhaps there's still a distance to be covered. Maybe we'll come back to that in a little while later. May I now request another very fascinating vertical of governance, the land record modernization, revenue modernization. And as all of us know, Karnataka has been a leader in this. It has been a thought leader as well as a practice leader. And leading the Department of Revenue in these very, very interesting times has been Dr. Mamatha, who's currently retired, but whose experience will be very valuable in guiding us on how AI has leveraged itself very successfully in a very, very key area of governance, that is revenue. Dr. Mamatha, ma'am.
Thank you, sir. I'll start with a little joke. There's a cartoon I read recently which says, I wish AI could do the cooking, cleaning, sweeping, swabbing, and let me do the bigger work of thinking originally instead of artificially. So, having said that, the Department of SRABs and Registration, I'm sure everybody has one time or the other gone to the sub-registrar's office. We have recently introduced a new module of Kaveri 2. Unfortunately, we haven't used too much of AI still. We are still nascent. We are still in the adolescent or whatever stage of using AI. But what we are now planning is towards predictive analysis of AI, where we would be able to predict the kind of revenue that will be coming into the state year after year. And we want some kind of property profiling. We're looking at property profiling that will help citizens. It's a citizen-friendly move. It will help citizens understand the property they're buying. If there is a property profiling that we could do using AI. And more important thing, I'm sure all of you have gone to sub-registrar's office. The biggest thing is to be able to say this is a genuine property and that we are buying it, because the act says caveat emptor, that means a buyer beware. Buyer has to be sure of what he's buying, and if he makes a mistake, it's his mistake and seller has nothing to do with it, or something similar to that. So property profiling will really help citizens understand what they are buying. That could be done with AI too. That is something that we are looking at providing in the future. We are also looking at, another important thing is when you go for a registration, you need to have a deed. And the deed writing is, you have to go to a third party for doing the deed writing. Some of the states have introduced something called templates, but then again, that is just not an art. It is being done without using AI. Suppose we use AI in deed writing, common citizens can themselves do their deed writing, because that, as you rightly mentioned, we could be using, chatbot kind of a situation where it helps him put his thing together. Also, using technology itself in registration, like we are looking at doing remote registration in future. So all these things, for a citizen, it becomes overwhelming, because a common man, and it becomes very overwhelming. And to help him, AI tools can be of great use for teaching him or training him, or hand-holding, as we would have called it many years ago, hand-holding people to be able to do their registration remotely and be done with it. We are also looking at valuation calculation. And year after year, we have to increase general revision of property valuation happens. We haven't done it for years. We did it only this year. Last year, October, we did the valuation. So if we can use artificial intelligence in profiling and adding that little, see, how do we do valuation? We do valuation by looking at what is the market value, by looking at some few registrations that has happened, the topmost, the highest value and the lowest value, we take a mid. So we look at all those things. That kind of calculation can easily be done by AI, and that will give us automatically some kind of, the correct valuation, which will be, we are also going in for GIS based valuation. So automatically citizens are able to look at the value of property they are buying and do everything else themselves, and they don't have to depend on another individual. And that will help income tax department also to be able to look at whether the value is correct or it's undervalued or whatever that is. So for security purposes, and we are using, as income tax department is using, we are also using huge data we have, and our clientele is very huge. We are just about 3 months down the line, and we are already about 2 to 3 lakh documents have been registered already. So we have huge data. So some kind of a security, for security purposes, we'd like to use AI too, so that we are still looking at all this, and we're trying to provide solutions to people and make it more friendly. And we have something called non-registrable stamp duty. I'm sure none of you are aware of it, that even if you're doing a rental agreement, you have to do it on a proper stamp paper, with proper stamp duty. Otherwise, that whole thing is that the value of the paper also, there is no value for that paper also. So that many people are not aware. So those kind of things are also where we would like to push in AI, which will profile and help people. Not only that, it's a bond. You're going in for an contract employment. I'm sure many of your contract employees here and many of your companies are doing contract employees. You have to do it on a proper stamp paper. The amount of value of the paper should be right. So all those kind of things is something that AI can push. You're crossing the toll. You've paid a toll. The guy who's running the toll owes us some stamp duty. So that we'll be able to calculate. So there's huge potential for AI in this thing. And fraud. There are a lot of fraudulent practices, and I'm sure people put in all their life's earnings into buying a property, and then if something like a fraud happens, you're running pillar to post, and believe me, it can be very, very, very taxing, and it can be very strenuous. So to prevent frauds is something that we are looking at. Like we are using Aadhaar. So now just Aadhaar. See, every time we need not ask him to enter his Aadhaar. We should be able to generate. If a person gives us his name and this thing, we should be able to generate that Aadhaar, and we should be able to say this person really owns this property, and you can go ahead to the buyer. That kind of a thing. So there are lots and lots of possibilities. We need some use cases. A lot of use cases, AI-based use cases, will be of great help to us for skilling and training people, as I said, capacity building of our own staff also, and for thing. And we need to have some citizen profiling also to some extent, because we need to know what age group is buying, what gender is buying, what is the kind of people who are coming in. Are we getting people? It will be of great help, interest to Mr. Mohanty, that we'd like to know whether the people who are buying are citizens, not citizens, where are they coming from, where is the money coming from. Income tax will be definitely interested in knowing all that. So all those kind of things is what we'd like to plow into our Kaveri 2 and make it an all-encompassing, citizen-friendly tool which will make registration a happy process and a more safe process. Thank you very much.
Interesting and insightful. All of us who are sitting here must appreciate one thing here, what Dr. Mamatha just elucidated, is that perhaps the revenue department, especially the one which deals with registrations of land deeds and similar things, and AI were built for each other. So many touch points where AI is convergent or intersects with the answers that or solutions which the revenue department has been providing, is that perhaps no other department in the government has so many touch points. And having helmed this department for quite some time, so she could enlighten us with how AI has been magnifying and amplifying the impact of land revenue registrations and revenue itself. There are a few other topics within revenue which are quite interesting, perhaps which we will be dwelling upon in a subsequent round of discussions. But however, we again now alight upon one of the most interesting aspects of AI, which we were privileged enough to witness during the pandemic years. We have amongst us the advisor IT of the National Health Authority, who has advised this department at a time of great crisis, and every crisis means an opportunity, which we will now learn from him. Mr. Subbarao.
Yeah, thank you, Dr. Mohanty. The way we look at it, the way we look at AI is that AI, particularly in Indian healthcare, it's just another public good, because just look at AI in healthcare as a digital public good. All of us are aware of what digital public goods are. India is a leader in digital public goods. And the foundation of it was, of course, laid by Aadhaar, because that is the identity layer. And on top of that, several other things are being built. So the digital public goods are really the guardrails of not just digital India, but also AI and healthcare as far as NHA is concerned. See, why am I saying this? This is because the foundation of any AI is everybody talks about ChatGPT and generative AI and all of that. But at the base of all of that, any model is only as good as the data that you have, right? And in healthcare, you need to have data. You need to have data which is very authentic. More often than not, what happens is all these models that are built in healthcare are all based on Western data, which may or may not be relevant to India, because our state of health is very different from what a Westerner is normally used to. The environment is different, the cultural factors are different, and the body buildup is also completely different. So we need to have proper Indian health data. So first thing that NHA is doing is to build the data of the various entities that is required. So what are we doing? The first thing is to have a health identity number, which is the Aadhaar. And I'm happy to say that there are 64 crore Aadhaars that are already registered in the country. This is not a well-known fact, but there are 64 crore Aadhaars, of course, based on Aadhaar. Then there are 3 lakh health facilities which have been registered, because today, how do you know which is a good hospital, which is an authentic hospital, who is a real qualified registered doctor? Because unless you know that, then anything which works on top of that will be suspect. So there are health facility. There's a health facility registry which we are establishing. We already have 3 lakh health facilities which have been registered, and there are 4 lakh health professionals who have been registered. Because who is a qualified registered health professional? I mean, today it's an unknown thing. So NHA is working on that, and therefore we have 4 lakh registered professionals who have been registered. And in terms of the applications of all of this, at a very fundamental level, what are we trying to do in NHA? We are just trying to make all health systems interoperable. Because today, a very common problem is you go in for a diagnostic, you go to one diagnostic center for blood test, and then you visit a doctor. You go to another doctor, he's not going to accept that. He's again going to tell you to do all the tests all over again, because you may have lost it or that is not verified. So today, because of longitudinal health records, which we are building based on Aadhaar, based on the health facilities which have been registered, health professionals who have been registered, it is available on the cloud. So on your phone, you can, when you visit a doctor, you can say, this is my health record and I'm going to make it available to you. So you get proper health care, everything becomes interoperable. I'm just putting it at a very broad level. So that's one use case. The second use case, I mean, you go to a public hospital, you find a huge crowd at the registration desk, right? So now if you just visit KC General Hospital here, which is pretty close by, you'll find a facility called Scan and Share, which is AI enabled, built on top of Aadhaar, which is again built on top of Aadhaar, where you can just scan and share, and I mean, you can just go pay your registration fees and go directly visit a doctor. So the key queues and the crowd which is there at a public hospital is going to disappear. So that's another use case. And a very, very big use case which is going to impact all of us is the insurance health claims. The National Health Claims Registry has just been launched. And I think a couple of days back, the HDFC Ergo has issued a statement that they have processed the first health claim through the registry, which means that you no longer have to wait, submit your health claim, insurance health claim, and then wait and get all that process. This health claim exchange is going to make everything digital. And consequently, we are, of course, enabling the whole thing through AI. And I see Professor Narari, hello. So we are enabling all of this through AI, and so these are the various applications that we see happening through the National Health Authority, where we are using AI in a very big way. Thank you.
So very fascinating again, as in the case of income tax. So we in Aadhaar were again lucky to have shared bosses. So at a very vital time when the pandemic was just about beginning and CoWIN app was being envisaged, Aadhaar, the UIDAI had got a very useful partnership with the health department and Mr. R.S. Sharma, who had been ex-CEO of Aadhaar and then became the head of the NHA. He was a very tough taskmaster that way. We worked nights and days to see that CoWIN app got on the ground, and with the effects that you might have seen. AI was very well leveraged in that application. And several other touch points that we heard from Mr. Subbarao, which are fascinating. Again, health and insurance, health insurance particularly, are areas where AI has got a great role to play. Perhaps we are seeing it in its infancy, at its inception. Perhaps things will be more advanced as days pass by. Very interesting. Now I'll turn to Mr. Halder. Is that?
Thakre.
Yes. So please enlighten us with your vision of AI, where it stands out in the area that you've worked and where would you like it to go?
Thank you, sir. I am from Bangalore Metro Railway Corporation. This is joint venture of Government of Karnataka and central government. Our train services since inception in Bangalore itself is based on totally 100% artificial intelligence, because all the data we are getting, and we have the control center. We are getting the information, all the track information, signaling information, all the rolling stock information of maintenance, preventive maintenance, and all the parameters of the system involved in rolling stock, that is train. We are getting all the information through artificial intelligence in the control system, and driver is able to know where its train, and train itself can know where its localization of the train, and all the information are automatic as well as manual also jo hai, but we are running the train in both the modes, automatic mode as well as manual mode, so that driver, loco pilot is acquainted with both the systems. Moreover, we have all the information of the stations pertaining to security and footfall, all the revenue collections, which is off the track, that is tokenless, all are based on AI, and we are getting all the information, all the revenue things. So it is since inception in our train services, artificial intelligence is involved, and as of now we are running 72 kilometer of network in Bangalore Metro, Bangalore city. We will be extending to up to 150 kilometer. So we are far ahead of the field of the artificial intelligence. All the preventive maintenance, all the things we have online, and we getting the information and doing the preventive things, kind of things, so that our headway is in peak hours 3-minute headway. Train services headway is 3 minutes in peak hours. It is quite praiseworthy, and commuters are engaged in Bangalore, here crowdy city. So this crowd is maintained through this our Bangalore Metro trains services. Thank you, sir.
So very insightful. An area where we didn't think AI has ingressed has really made an impact. The metro land use that we never knew that metro railways could be defined or aligned using AI as a tool has now been laid bare before us. And again, Karnataka, as in many other aspects, is a thought leader here and the application leader. Well, I'm very happy to have heard that, and most of us would be enthused by the idea that railway lines can be laid per revenue generation, per land use, using pattern recognition, using AI. So now, very quickly, because we are coming to the end of the panel, there are a lot of interesting things to be discussed, which we will not have time. I'll just again go through the panelists again with a request that we'll be now discussing. We have discussed the positive aspects of how to leverage AI. We'd now like to take a look at the ethics part of it. where we should be cautious while using artificial intelligence or machine learning algorithms. All of us have passed through a phase where AI/ML, though very useful, has been, at some times been, how do we say, hallucinating a little bit. So again, I return to Mr. Unhale to elucidate how to be careful around AI. What are the ethical concerns that he has about it?
Thank you, sir. First of all, I think considering from the government agencies, we need to have our staff prepared and trained onto new technologies which are coming. So current tendency is still to depend heavily, nothing wrong in it, but heavily depending upon private sector. But the core strength of government officers need to be strengthened. And probably we have a public works department which works after civil engineers. But apart from NIC, I don't know of any state government having a very strong inherent technical bureaucracy or technical manpower with the organizations. And as AI is going to be getting more and more complex, I think this element of we preparing our staff for new technology, including AI, I think will be extremely crucial to really deliver the impact of AI to the citizens. Thank you, sir.
Your thoughts, Colonel Singh, quickly.
Sir, just taking a cue from what has been said earlier, ethical AI is it's a buzzword for a lot of people, but definitely it has a practical implication, especially when you're dealing with something which is concerned with the individual's identity, where something like Aadhaar, where you have personal identifiable information. So the privacy and the security of the individual who has entrusted his trust into an ecosystem has to be maintained. So, frankly speaking, in terms of profiling or in terms of usage of AI for such purposes, I do have my concerns. But definitely I do agree that AI must be leveraged and it has to be a responsible AI that we have to use.
Thank you, Colonel Singh. Now we'll quickly turn to Mr. Bagde. In communications, what would be your ethical concerns?
Hallucination has been a typical problem with generative AI or any AI model for that matter. But other than that, it can be trained. We have seen that with guardrails, with track training, these models can be made better. But on a personal, very personal note, we talk about the ethical use of AI. Personally, as a citizen, I would say prevention of crime can be very well managed with AI, but at the same time, facial recognition, biometrics. This is very sensitive data that we pass on through the system. So I think that has to be handled very carefully.
Thank you. Well appreciated. Ma'am Agarwal.
Yeah, so I would like to say that for the department, the taxpayers' data is very, very important. It is very sensitive. It cannot be exposed. And for that purpose, we are coming up with a security policy. Capacity building seminars are being held. We are starting on that. We will have to look into training of staff and officers as suggested. They're already starting. Infrastructure will have to be strengthened because we have to ensure fairness and transparency as a department. So the ethics do become very important for us. We will have to put into models which will ensure that. And also at the same time, the privacy, the data privacy has to be maintained. So the point is very well taken. We are already onto that bandwagon, and I'm sure that the department will ensure that.
Thank you, ma'am. So now we're already out of time, so I'll quickly exhort Dr. Mamatha, ma'am.
Yeah, I'm sure all of you have seen this movie called The Net, and that explains everything, because we have data, very crucial data of quite a lot of people. One. Number two, AI can't work in isolation. It has to work with many departments coming together. So what happens is, if a mistake is made in one department by whatever reasons, AI is not God. So somewhere there's a mistake. Then it's a boomeranging effect. And I'm really worried what will be because in the net, the movie in The Net, you see this person becomes a non-entity because of one mistake made in the social security portal. So that could happen, very well happen. So those kind of safeguards have to be taken. And then we all know DPDP has come in, where any leak of public data would mean 25 crore penalty on the departmental head. So that will also is a very big concern for all of us. So AI coming in is great, but a lot of safeguards have to be put in.
Thank you, ma'am. Well taken. Dr. Subbarao, quickly.
Yeah, very quickly, when you talk about health, a very big concern is privacy because health data is very, very private to an individual, does not want to share even with the family. Husband does not want to share with the wife. So that's a very big concern, but it has already been taken care of by ABDM. We have a very strong consent framework which is already in place, fully compliant with DPDP, which he pointed out. So as far as health data privacy is concerned, as long as any system is ABDM compliant, DPDP is taken care of.
That was quick. Thank you, sir. And now coming to the metro, what would you like to advise?
We have a strong policy of the data management and IT security of BMRCL itself, as well as we have lot of systems of OEM based. So they are also maintaining their data according to their policy, and all data are not outside, within the lane, so that there is no escapability of the data or theft of the data. All data are secured and foolproof to the extent possible. This is the thing, sir. Thank you.
Thank you. Very insightful, and I'd like a round of applause for our distinguished panelists. Very, very insightful, very, very multifaceted, and we look for some good times for AI in governance ahead. Thank you.